Hello and welcome to another episode of Region Weather Live, your online streaming YouTube source for weather across the Dakotas and Minnesota. Meteorologist Brad Warner. And yes, we are talking about two possible systems affecting our region over the next few days. The next one coming on Tuesday night into Wednesday. That shouldn't be too much of a problem, other than maybe spreading some heavier amounts in northeastern parts of Minnesota, but not really dealing much with the winds there. The second one could potentially be a bigger problem for portions in western parts of the Dakotas where they've already seen plenty of snow. So let's get on into it right away, shall we? Here's this first system Tuesday morning, right before it exits the northern Rockies, and you can see there's going to be plenty of warm air being drawn up and some moisture along with that, but the moisture really doesn't carry on or catch on until that system really moves out later in the day, Tuesday, more so into Tuesday night, and because of that, that's why some of this precip really doesn't get going until more so Tuesday night into Wednesday, just because it takes a little bit of time for this moisture to work its way on northwards. And as we zoom on in on this first system to come in Tuesday night, you can see the moisture begins to form out ahead of this in the form of rain and maybe a little bit of rain and snow mix by this point on. This is actually 9 p.m. on Tuesday. And note, I do have up here the date, so Wednesday, April 20th. The 20th at 3Z. So this is actually Tuesday evening still at 10 p.m. actually Central Time. So, but it just kind of gives you, maybe helps give you a little bit of a better idea what time frame we're looking at. This is Zulu time, which is Universal Time. So hopefully I can figure out a way to translate that a little bit easier for you in the future. But maybe this just kind of gives you a little bit of a reference for now. So after many years, I'm used to translating that and quickly pushing that forward and knowing what time that actually is. But here we are at midnight or 1 a.m. Some more snow and rain out ahead of this across northern parts of North Dakota and Minnesota. And then 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. on Wednesday. And you can see this area of precipitation begins to increase throughout the night because that moisture continues to get drawn up from the south and finally interacts with this system that pulls out of the Rockies. And then it runs into some colder air further to the north and begins to fall more so as snow. Now, once we get into the 10 a.m. time frame, we can see where a pretty good band of snow is formed through central parts, north central parts of Minnesota. Now, I think there's going to be a line here from about Fargo to roughly Duluth where most of that area south of there will fall as rain and maybe moderate rain at times, but areas further to the north are very likely looking at snow the way it looks with this particular system. Once we get into the into the afternoon time, some additional moderate snow, possibly heavy at times, across the northeast. And then finally, once we get into 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., that snow moves quickly out of the region. Now, here's the actual low that's finally dipping down to the south and bringing with it some rain and snow with it. It's probably going to be more so some light snow, but really not expecting any type of accumulation out of that at all. Out ahead of this system on Tuesday, here we are Tuesday morning. We could see these winds begin to pick up across western and central parts of North and South Dakota. Here we are with gusts of 40 to 45 miles per hour across the central region by the noon time frame on Tuesday. And those winds begin to spread across eastern parts of the Dakotas once we get to 4 p.m. or so, where we're still talking of gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour, maybe some 45 miles per hour here and there across central parts of North Dakota. So that could create a little bit of drifting of some of that snow that's fallen out there and may reduce or create some slipperier conditions throughout the day on Tuesday. Once we get into the Tuesday evening time frame, most of those winds begin to die off with the exception of the portions of eastern South Dakota where they could actually pick up a little bit. We could be seeing some gusts of 45 to 50 miles per hour in eastern South Dakota early Tuesday evening. And then finally, once it gets to midnight or so, those winds begin to die off a little bit. Maybe some gustier winds in through the central parts of Minnesota, 25 to 35. It just kind of out ahead of the snow and all the rain until we get into more so Wednesday morning. Here we are at 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. And by that point, most of the snow is really starting to get going or have fallen across the Northeast. So you can see there's the possibility of some gusts of 35 to 40 miles per hour up there. So along with the snow that's going to be falling, we're going to be seeing some gusty winds. So expect reduced visibilities and some hazardous road travel out there throughout the day on Wednesday, particularly through Wednesday morning and early Wednesday afternoon. Now, I did have a person reach out to me that said Mary from Marcel, which is out in Itasca County, said she found me out there and she's going to be telling her friends. So boy, I sure do appreciate that. That's really neat to find somebody out there that I don't know that has found me. So I appreciate that, Mary. But unfortunately, we're looking at maybe not some very nice conditions for you on Wednesday. Now note, throughout the day on Wednesday in southern parts of Minnesota, some pretty strong gusts dealing with along with some of that rain. So we're going to be looking at gusts of 40 miles per hour or greater down there. And then once we get later in the day on Wednesday, some pretty strong winds in western Dakotas where we're looking at 50 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts once again across the west, causing some drifting, maybe even some blowing if that snow is still loose enough out in western portions of North Dakota on late in the day on Wednesday. Snow accumulation wise for this first system that comes through, here we are Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. You can see a little bit of light snow accumulating across the far northern reaches of our region. Once we get into 9 a.m. and around noontime, you can see where more of that accumulation starts to occur through north central, northeastern parts of Minnesota, down through central parts as well. This might be pushing a little bit far south. I think maybe the cutoff, like I said before, is going to be more in through here. I think, whatever kind of snowfall does potentially fall down south of that line, very likely is going to melt most of it upon impact. So not really concerned much about areas south of there. It's going to be more areas north of that line. Now, as we get into later in the day on Wednesday afternoon, and then finally Wednesday evening, you can see where most of the snowfall occurs, where we're talking, anywhere from 3 to 7 inches across portions of the Northeast. And then also another band probably just along the north shore of Lake Superior as well. So picking up plenty of snow off in the northeastern parts. We're going to be looking at some hazardous travel and then maybe some gustier winds out there possibly as well. That'll help reduce some of that visibilities and create poor travel conditions. So do be mindful if you're traveling out there, especially in the northeastern parts of Minnesota on Wednesday. Now, once this storm passed by Thursday, high pressure settles into the region, so we should be looking at some clearing skies and some decreasing winds throughout the day on Thursday. So here's a wider view of that storm that's coming for the weekend. You can see at this point, still not quite out of the Rockies here, but we're still going to be transporting a whole lot of moisture and warm air out ahead of this. The good thing with this system, as opposed to the last one, is it will be carrying much more warmer air out ahead of it, which means many of these areas that picked up snowfall, particularly in the central and eastern portions of the Dakotas, will very likely start off as rain, or at very least have a little bit of snow in the beginning and then transition to rain. Now, the one thing I'm kind of concerned about that the last one didn't, the last storm really didn't have, is the potential for some freezing rain. And you can see it being kind of depicted in here with the purple and the pinks. And the reason being is last time we didn't have the snowfall on the ground. So we started off with our ground temperatures much warmer than we are now. Now we've got all this snow on the ground, and before it transitioned from a rain, and then eventually it just got cold enough to where it transitioned over to snow. Here you might have rain, and now the ground temperatures might be colder than normal because of the snow on the ground. and the upper levels haven't quite cooled off enough that it keeps falling as rain. And so you might have some areas that might have that transition from a rain to a freezing rain and then over to a snow. And then, unfortunately, if that does occur, then we're going to be having some strong winds on the backside of this system, which is pretty typical, which could cause, not only problems when it comes to the amount of snowfall in the wind, but, now you're talking about the possibility of losing power. I've got to throw this caveat. This is way out there, as always. I mean, we're talking, 5 days out there, 6 days. So a lot of this could change. This low pressure could move west or east, bring in more rain, bring in less rain. But it's just at this point, it's just something to think about. It's just kind of something I'm worried about as I'm watching this, that there's the possibility that we might also experience some freezing rain with this. So here we are, Saturday evening. You can see how by this point now we're starting to get some heavier snow as possible in western parts of North Dakota. Again, that could shift west or east. The timing could shift, but just this is basically what we're looking for right now at this moment, this far out. A lot of variabilities. Sunday morning, that low pressure just still hanging on through eastern parts of North Dakota. Plenty of wind on the backside of this. Again, pretty typical, kind of like our last system. We know what these big systems are all about now. And then as we get into Sunday evening, it finally begins to pull out. And then finally by Monday morning, most of that precipitation has moved out. We're still left with some winds possibly on Monday. And then it might not be until Tuesday until things really, really start to improve. So again, this is so up in the air. This is just one model. I picked one of the models that I felt kind of best depicted what was going on at this point and how I felt was handling it the best. This very well could change, just kind of like the last one. Now, the last one at the very start, I thought it was going to be way further east, and it just kept pushing further west and further west as we got closer. But just know where the models are agreeing on something again. Models are agreeing that from Friday through Saturday into Sunday, another storm system coming through that has the potential of causing, laying down a pretty good swath of snow once again. All right. Well, I wish I had some better news. Boy, people out west wanted moisture and they're getting moisture. But now this could reach into the depths of causing some damage or some very big problems for ranchers, people calving. So just another system we have to keep an eye on, and we'll see what changes, what happens. But there's the potential for something big once again this weekend. But first, we got another one out ahead of it Tuesday into Wednesday, mostly for northern parts of Minnesota. We're going to be picking up 3 to 6 inches in the northeastern portions of Minnesota. But then another big one to watch this weekend. As always, thank you for watching. Leave a note or a comment down below. Let me know where you're watching from so I have an idea. Please subscribe to this channel. I would need about 26 more people right now to subscribe. And then there's a little something I can do extra with my channel. Please share, let people know about it. Let me know what you like and dislike and all that fun stuff. And let's help this channel grow more and more. And I appreciate everybody for watching. Meteorologist Brad Warner for Region Weather Live. Have a good one.